I know that's what
Playing Asiatic Nightmare Weaver.
Okay.
He does have a Liliana the Best, so
Nice.
he does have one of the new
That's
cards.
not
Liliana
of the Veil.
Best.
Thank God they didn't reprint that.
Yeah, very similar to Gerard's deck. He's got Supreme Verdicts, Detention Spheres, Azorius Charm, 3 copies of Devour Flesh, and 1 Elixir of Immortality. So not exactly Gerard's deck, but very similar. And Reid obviously lost to that deck in the finals. Mono Blue Devotion doesn't necessarily have a great matchup against Esper.
Oh, he didn't just lose. It was a beat.
It was a beat.
It was a beaten by Gerard. Gonna cast a Thoughtseize here. Reid gonna display a hand of Domestication, Master of Waves, Frostborn Weir, 2 islands, and a Mutavault. You saw him play Hypnotic Siren on turn 1. That's kind of a flex slot in the deck. It's the 9th 1-drop. If you do have enough mana, it can be a control magic. We've seen Ross Merriam win a tournament by playing Gale Rider Sliver in that slot. Yeah, it's just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Not a really big deal.
It's a 9th 1-drop. Obviously, the deck really is at its best when it curves out, so you want to be able to go 1-drop, 2-drop. But really a pretty rough start here for Reid. His opening hand wasn't that great. He's got a Domestication, which is basically dead, and then his 2-drop got Thoughtseize. So he does have a Mutavault, though. Mutavault's always going to be good against control decks.
A Temple of Lightman's going to come down here for Ted. Take a look at the top card. Leave it on top rather quickly. Looks like he may be consulting really quick if he does want to move that around or not, but we do see Esper here, as you mentioned, pretty close to what Gerard played the last weekend, as he does put the top card to the bottom before passing the turn back to do. We saw blue-white control last round from Eric Gould. We see Esper control this round. You know, the 12 Temple Esper deck is something we've seen for some time now. Not sure if one version is better than the other. It seems like it's more of just getting the correct prediction of the metagame.
Yeah.
On which one's the better choice.
Obviously, if you think there's going to be a lot of mono blue, you can kind of see that this deck being a pretty good choice. You have a good matchup against mono blue. You basically have a good matchup against all devotion decks. Mono black is probably your hardest matchup, though. So wow, great turn there for Ted. Reid does decide to pull the trigger and attack with Mutavault, and Ted does have the Azorius Charm, so he's going to be able to play a Jace here. And if he wants to down tick it, he could even down tick it, and it probably won't be able to die. So, but he is just going to up tick it. So Reid doesn't have a good attack this turn.
Yeah, that turn was really, really good for Felicetti. The Azorius Charm there was quite the backbreaker. All Reid can do now is just play Mutavault and pass the turn back here. So Felicetti going to cast another copy of Thoughtseize. Reid will slam out the hand. The only new card is the Biden. That's a pretty good one to take.
Yeah, he still has that Domestication. Really, the only useful card in Reid's hand right now is Master Wave, which isn't that good against Esper, to be honest.
Just dies a lot.
Yeah.
Reid spells this weekend, pretty close to what we saw the previous weekend. 2 Domestication, 2 Biden of Thassa, 1 Cyclonic Rift, 1 Appetization, and then all those creatures to go along with 25 lands. So Duke will draw a card. It's a copy of Nightveil Spectre, not the worst draw in the world. And he will deploy the 2/3 before passing the turn back over to Felicetti.
So Felicetti has to decide what he wants to do here. Does he want to actually down take Jace here? Try to draw some cards.
Well, his hand's pretty weak, so I think he has to.
Yeah, I think he just needs to try to get Supreme Verdict here, which he does.
Found it. You see Ted's hand right now. He's got a Devour Flesh, an Elixir, and a land. So Verdict, Ashiok, and Temple come rolling off the top. Reid's going to separate the Verdict by itself. The Planeswalker and the land will go to the bottom. Felicetti's going to play a Plains, and now there is your Supreme Verdict.
So he leaves up a black for the Devour Flesh. So if Mutavault gets activated, Ted will be able to deal with that Mutavault, which is a really problematic card for control decks. Let's see what Reid decides to do. We know he's got a Master in his hand. Looks like, yeah, he's going to play it. Pretty weak Master.
Yeah. Well, it looks like with Master on the stack, Felicetti's going to cast Devour Flesh. Now it's given the option to Reid of, all right, either you lose your Master and you don't get the token that comes along with it, or you lose your Mutavault.
Yeah, so Reid has a decision here. Again, Mutavault is just so good against control decks. I'd be surprised if Reid didn't just let the Master die here, but we'll see. Yep.
Okay.
He wants that extra power. Not that great against Jace, but it looks like he's only getting 1 token.
Yeah, maybe he senses a little bit of weakness here. Maybe he's just thinking Mutavault's not going to get the job done. Looks like Jace is going to take up to 5. Felicetti with a Plains and an Elixir. So there's your Elixir. I'm just going to pass the turn. You like holding the land here?
I guess you gotta kind of represent something, like a counterspell at least. Kind of put Reid on at least making some tough calls, but I think at this point Reid's gonna do what he wants to do. I mean, Reid's just gonna make the correct play each turn. it's too late in the game for him to try to make a read on him.
About another Master of Waves. That's going to look, I mean, it looks like it's going to resolve because we know Ted has a land in his hand, so that is going to come in. 2 more elementals are going to come in. The elemental that can attack is a 3-power creature now, and the Master, of course, is a 2-power creature. So, Jace is going to tick down a little bit here. As so long as Ted does remember the triggers. Yep, there we are. Down to 2 goes the Jace. Elixir's going to shuffle in. And I wouldn't be surprised now if we actually see the Jace that's in play tick down and try to find Supreme Verdict again.
Yeah, he's got it. At this point, there's really no point anymore. A second Master of Waves, basically every elemental has +2 now. So it's just too good. And that definitely makes more, it explains a lot more why Mutavault was kind of kept last turn. If Reid did have the Master in his hand, or if he felt like a second Master could just help him kind of deal with the Jace. So pretty good situation for Reid, despite the fact that it looked pretty bad. Ted just not really drawing a lot of action.
His draw is bad.
Yeah.
He's just not really getting anything going right now. Now, one Sphinx's Revelation, one Elspeth turns everything around, of course. Doesn't take much. Felicetti going to draw a mystery card at this point. Again, we know he has a land in his hand. He's going to cash in his Jace. So let's see what these 3 cards are. There's a Rev, there's an Ashok, and there's an Island. So you have to imagine a Rev on its own.
Yeah, so this gives Ted a little breathing room here. He's going to be able to rev for 4. And he does have all 4 copies of Supreme Verdicts in his deck because he shuffled them back, the one that he used back in.
Here comes the Duke. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 is what he's attacking for. And Felicetti says, absolutely, I got to take it all. So he's going to go down to 6. There's an Island. If you're Reid, you were hoping that was a Mutavault.
You're probably really hoping it was a Biden at us.
Felicetti's going to go up to 10 and draw 4 cards. From that Revelation, you see Liliana, Godless Shrine, Devour Flesh, and a big one in Detention Sphere.
Wow, so there it is. Detention Sphere, and he draws an Elspeth for the turn. So really good draws there for Ted. Deals with both the Masters and obviously the tokens as well.
The other thing, too, is that Ted knows exactly the card in Reid's hand is Domestication.
Yep.
So he knows, hey, I can just keep on moving here.
And he's got a Dissolve in his hand as well. So if a Thassa comes down or something like that, he can just deal with it.
So we'll see if he wants to deploy which one of these Planeswalkers. He does have Liliana Vess as well as Elspeth in hand. He's going to deploy Liliana so he can leave Dissolve up, which does make sense. We haven't seen Liliana for a long time, but that's going to tick up. It's going to force Reid to discard. And I'm actually pretty glad this card's back. It's never been like the best Planeswalker, but it does kind of fulfill a unique role in this deck, being able to search for a Supreme Verdict.
Yeah. And Reid is discards an island, it looks like. And it looks like he just has a Domestication left, and it's going to get discarded now. So now Ted is free to cast the Elspeth in his hand. So quite the Planeswalker army he's got in play.
The other thing that's actually pretty nice about Liliana, too, is that, you know, a lot of players kind of opt towards going towards creatureless builds in this deck. They don't want to play anything.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to have to play Blood Barons or anything like that because they're kind of annoying to have to play. Aetherling does speed things up, and, you know, if the time is something that you're worried about, unless you're able to end a game pretty quickly as there's a Dissolve to take care of the Nightfell Spectre. But I actually like that Liliana gives you another win condition. Actually does quite a few things. Discarding, tutor for a Revelation, an Elixir, what have you, an Elspeth. Or you can just go to the ultimate and say, this is my win condition.
Yeah, I definitely like it in this deck, especially as a 1-up. I mean, I don't know if I play more than one, but you're right. It allows you to search for a card if you need it, even if you're just cashing it in. It's like it could be a really expensive Diabolic Tutor. Yeah. But if you're able to untap with it and just make him discard cards and get a little more advantage that way, very good, especially against mid-rangey like green decks, which you already have a good matchup against it, but that just sort of helps it a little bit more, I think.
One thing I like, too, because the cards that you can search for are actually pretty powerful, is that it actually puts you in the squeeze, where, you know, if you minus it to put a card on top of your deck, well, I don't think it's something that the opponent can just ignore. You know, I think they have to actually dedicate some resources to killing it, so it's kind of playing the role of tutor plus fog in some circumstances. That's a pretty powerful card for 5 mana.
Especially if the thing you're tutoring for is Elspeth.
Yeah, that's really powerful stuff.
Turn 5, it's tutor for Elspeth, cast it.
We'll take a look at the sideboard here. Reid Duke is where we're going to begin. Mono Blue Devotion, not too much of a surprise to see him lose game 1. I think it's a tough game 1 matchup for him, but if we think about what happened 2 weeks ago when we were in Worcester and Reid lost to Gerard Fabiano, we know what his game plan was then. I can't imagine it changes too much. We'll take a look at the counter spells of 4 Gainsay. There's a Negate, there's 3 Dissolves. That's 8. Jace Architect of Thought times 2. He could bring those in. That'll be 10. You see 2 Jace Memorandums could be 11 and 12, potentially, as far as cards are concerned. He's got plenty of bad cards to sideboard out. Domestication can go. Cyclonic Rift, Rapidization, those cards can go. Maybe some of these 1-drops go as well. And from what we have seen over the course of the past couple of months, basically all throughout this year, the plan against these Revelation decks from Mono Blue is to play Counter Slipper. You know, that kind of deck. Get one threat into play, counter the relevant spells, and hopefully kill your opponent that way.
Yeah, because really the card that you have to counter more than anything is probably Elspeth. But so you don't really need that many counter spells. Obviously, they're going to have a lot of removal spells against you, but you can't counter them all. So you just try to wear them down one by one. Thassa obviously being a really important card there, so you don't get mana flooded. But for Ted's side of the board, he's got some pretty good cards too. He's got 3 copies of Night Veil Spectre, which is a card that we've been seeing these decks kind of board in the past. Very good in the mirror. Also very good against Mono Blue Devotion. So it can block other Night Veil Spectres, but it also can kind of attack them and steal some pretty good spells like Master the Wave and stuff like that. It has another copy of Doomblade that he can bring in, a copy of Pithing Needle, which can stop Mutavault. He's got a copy of Dayside, which can deal with Thassa and biding a Thassa. And beyond that, he's got 2 copies of Ultimate Price, 1 Duress, which probably doesn't want to come in, 1 copy of Dispel, probably doesn't need that, and then 2 Blind Obediences, more for those really aggressive red decks.
Yeah. Esper Control, when a new set comes out, the thing that people are going to talk about, I don't think, is, man, what goes in Blue-White Control? What goes in Esper? They don't really get a lot of new cards. Liliana's in here, maybe some sideboard help, but outside of that, nothing too crazy going on.
Well, the thing about these decks are the core is just so set in stone. Like, you need 4 Supreme Verdicts, you need 4 Detention Sphere, you need 4 Sphinx of Revelation, you need some number of Jace and Elspeth combination, Everything else is basically just counter spells and removal. So maybe if a new set gives you like a really great piece of removal or counter spell, then you incorporate it. But for the most part, you're not going to be changing your deck dramatically. Like if you can basically ignore most of the creatures that get printed in the new set, because they're not coming in your deck.
They're not really going to change very much. These are creatures you have to beat, not creatures that you get to play. Duke going to start off here with a Judge's Familiar. Felicetti going to start off with, of course, the Slow Temples. But going to help his draw quite a bit. You do see Ted's hand. He's got an Elspeth. There's a Verdict over there as well, as the Judge's Familiar will peck away. Felicetti's going to go down to 19. I think the most important thing here for Reid is that he has a Mutavault early.
Yeah.
So he can start chipping away that way.
So Ted here has got a tough decision. Does he play the Hollow Fountain untapped so he can cast Doomblade? He's going to take 2 damage. And
he's casting Doomblade right now.
Well, there's a Judge's Familiar, so it's like, there's really, if Reid attacks with Mutavault, then Ted's basically just taking 4 damage instead of just 2 because of the 2 from the Shockland. And he basically kills a Judge's Familiar. That's it.
Why do I have a feeling Reid doesn't have a 3rd land?
Well, it doesn't look like Ted has a 3rd land either. So let's see. If Reid doesn't have a 3rd land here, he probably doesn't have a 2-drop either because he just all of his 2-drops are double blue.
Yeah. This is interesting. Reid plays at a pretty methodical pace anyway, but he certainly slowed down quite a bit here. Here's a Judge's Familiar. Now he's going to attack for 1 here. So he's going to go down to 16. There's an Azorius Charm now. Ooh, this is interesting. Do we counter this or not? Huh. Looks like the answer is yes, we do. All right. Ted going to draw a card. It's a Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, I'm surprised Ted didn't do that prior to the attack.
Maybe in response to the Judge's Familiar.
In response to the Judge's Familiar, because basically you have to figure. Well, I guess he was thinking, okay, Reid hasn't played a land yet. Maybe he's just slow rolling a land, and then he's going to activate the Mutavault.
Has Judge's Familiar ever been better than it was over the past 2 turns?
It's been fairly good. Ted has that Night Veil Spectre in his hand, just can't cast it.
Yeah.
Does have an Ultimate Price though.
I wonder if Reid's going to fire up. I mean, Ultimate Price obviously can't kill Mutavault, but you've seen Azorius Charm and you've seen Doomblade. You got to be a little bit gun shy, I think.
Yeah.
Now Ted's going to be discarding, so neither player able to find their 3rd land.
I think the fact that Ted's missing his lands, I think Reid's okay playing a little bit more of a waiting game.
What's the rush, Yeah. Reid doesn't draw a land either. He draws a copy of Thassa. He does have a Gainsay in his hand. He's also looking at a Frostburn Word, which he, of course, cannot cast right now.
Yeah, Reid just can't afford to lose his land, given the fact that he needs a 3rd.
Even though, of course, we can see that Ted doesn't have the answer to kill Mutavault, you can't risk it as Ted draws a Sphinx's Revelation. And he's going to discard that X-Spell. So, a little draw-go action. There's a land.
All right, and it starts. We're going to see a Thassa here.
Yeah, I wonder what card it'll be. He could play a Thassa. He could just simply play a creature to get going that way. He could continue to leave up counter magic. He does have a Gainsay in his hand. And, one thing here is, of course, Reid doesn't know Ted's exact deck list. but when he did play against Gerard in the finals, Gerard did have Nightveil Spectre. And we see that Ted does have Nightveil Spectre in his hand, so he does decide to deploy the Thassa, and since that did slip through the cracks, you have to imagine the advantage is now in Reid's hands.
Yeah, Reid's got the Thassa. He's got more mana. Ted missed his third land again. Reid's able to scry, so it looks like he didn't draw a fourth land, but he's going to be able to build up that devotion count.
A Frostburn Weird does come to the party now here as well. Ted does find a land. Not too much of a surprise to see it come to play tapped. The deck does have 12 temples after all, and Temple of Deceit. Reid going to scry the top card to the bottom with Thassa. We'll draw a mystery card for the turn. Again, both players having some difficulty finding lands at this point, but Reid is starting to build an advantage here. Going to play another copy of Frostburn Weird. And oddly enough, even though Ted does have an ultimate price in his hand, there is nothing to kill.
Oh, Ted draws a land he's able to play untapped, and here we see a Supreme Verdict.
That's important.
So
he doesn't
not
have
bad.
to pay. He doesn't have to pay 2 to do it. Go down to 6. Now Reid's going to take a look at his top card, but it's pretty important to clear those things off the table. He's basically dead.
Yeah. So Reid does have a lot of counterspells in his hand, but here comes a Jace.
See if we're going to go down or up. We are going to go down, it looks like. So top 3 cards here for the Duke is a Thassa, Nightveil Spectre, and an Island. The split looks to be an easy one here for Ted.
Nice. I like that split.
Yeah. Reid does too. He wants 2 cards. Nightveil Spectre is going to go to the bottom. I actually kind of like the take there from Reid because, you know, he's playing against a deck that has Detention Sphere, so he wants to make sure that he will have a backup Thassa because Thassa is so big in this matchup.
So this is huge here. Ted gets a 5th mana, so he's able to play Nightveil Spectre, and he still has mana up for ultimate price if he needs it.
Reid can go scrying here, which he will. Take a look at the top card here with Thassa. Devotion is at 3, of course. Jason Thassa teaming up for the 3 Devotion. Duke just needs 2 more to be able to attack with the God of the Sea. Nightveil Spectre, not the most threatening card right now. Certainly better than nothing.
It's better than nothing. It gives him a blocker, but plus, it allows him to start pseudo-drawing cards off of Reid's Duke, which he can obviously cast anything, basically.
Didn't get a great look at what Duke drew that turn. We know he has counterspells in his hand. Of course, he's got like basically a full grip, given how this game has gone. There is a Gainsay and a Negate. Looks like he has a Judge's Familiar as well. See if this is going to resolve. That'll be the 4th Devotion. It also puts kind of the squeeze here. Now Duke is going to play a Master of Waves too. And Judge's Familiar does such a nice job in this situation. Most of the time in these Esper control decks, their removal costs 2 mana, and Ted does have a copy of Ultimate Price, but...
And Ted's at 6.
Uh-huh.
So Ted's in a pretty rough spot here.
Somebody's Nightveil Spectre is probably blocking this turn. That's what I think. You see Ted's hand. He's got a Rev over there. He's got a Verdict. That Ultimate Price we've talked about quite a bit. In comes the Elemental tokens. Here comes Thassa. We're going to target the Master of Waves with Ultimate Price. This is obviously a really nice play from Ted because Judge's Familiar is going to sacrifice, make Ted attempt to pay 1, which he can't do, but Thassa gets turned off.
Yep.
So, Ultimate Price doesn't get the job done, but it gets the job done.
It kind of gets the job done.
Yeah.
So, still has to deal with the Master of the Waves. Looks like he's going to attack Reid.
So he wants to draw some cards. That's a good card to draw.
That is a great hit.
And now there's a Verdict.
Wow.
That was pretty big.
That was a big hit there. Now he's able to keep, not only does he get a Mutavault of his own, but he gets 2 mana up. So he has a Azorius Charm up that he just drew that turn.
Yeah.
So pretty good rip there.
You see the hand there. Of course, he can cast Azorius Charm and Dispel. Yeah, that was a big, big, big find from Nightveil Spectre. Top card's going to go to the bottom here. Duke will draw. Again, Devotion's still at 3, so he's still doing pretty well. He's going to take down Jace, so 3 cards are coming. There's Nykthos, another Master of Waves, and an Island. Lands versus will be the split here from Felicetti.
Also gives Ted a way to potentially attack that Jace somehow.
Reid considering his options. You can see Reid's hand. At this point, he's basically out of creatures. You know, he's got the counter spells. There's a Jace Memory Adept in his hand. He's already got a Jace going to work. He's going to take the lands, as it looks like lands are more important, so Reid can actually start to cast 1 or 2 spells, 2 or 3 spells a turn, excuse me.
Yeah, Jace, if he can get that Jace to resolve, that's huge. But, yeah, it looks like he's going to activate Mutavault, and we're going to see an Azorius Charm here.
I wonder if we're going to see a counter spell.
With Ted at 6, that means that any Thassa hit is lethal. So I kind of think a counterspell is reasonable, but nope. He's going to put it on top of his library.
The Duke declines.
The Duke.
No interest in counterspell. Here comes Mutavault to take down Jace. Does the Duke care about that? No, he does not.
And what is Ted going to do here? Ted has to put Reid on a bunch of counterspells, given how this game played out.
Right? Especially, I think, on the turn, just the previous turn, where Reid attacked and then Ted fired off the Azorius Charm, and Reid thought for a little while.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. I mean, this can be Reid just bluffing counterspells, but with the way the game has gone, and you know how mono blue sideboards against these deck, he's got to have at least one.
You got to basically assume that. Plus, you have a Dispel in your hand, so I wouldn't do anything rash. Just wait. Reid doesn't have any pressure on the board right now, so yeah, I think you just have to kind of pass the turn there.
Mutavault's going to come back here. 4 mana. There's Jace again. Felicetti's looking at his hand. Ultimate Price. There's an Elspeth. There is Ultimate Price, the Revelation, and the Dispel. So nothing to do. Just going to take Jace up, pass the turn back. Azorius Charm is the draw. Excuse me, no Elspeth. There's actually a copy of Jace in his hand. See if he wants to deploy this now.
Yeah, this is a tough spot for him. He just doesn't have enough mana to do everything he wants to do. He wants to be able to dispel, cast a spell with Dispel backup, but also needs the removal in his hand to kind of protect it. So, or protect his life. Actually, he's at 6. So
not very high at all. Just going to pass the turn back. Maybe hoping to resolve a Revelation. There's an island. This is a Frostburn Weird. That's going to turn on the Thassa. Now that's in the red zone. Again, Ultimate Price looking very awkward.
Ultimate Price hasn't done anything. Basically, kill the Judge's Familiar, or force the Judge's Familiar to get sacrificed, right?
Yeah. Ultimate Price has been pretty awkward. I mean, it's typically not that bad in this matchup,
yeah.
But the way that the games have lined up, it has been pretty poor. Gonna turn over 3 cards. There's Thassa, Gainsay, and a Mutavault.
Wow, so Ted really doesn't want Reid to get that Gainsay. He's giving him a Thassa and another Mutavault.
Jeez. I couldn't pass. I mean, I trust Reid's judgment, obviously, because it's Reid. I can't pass up a Thassa and a Mutavault there. He can't either. He's going to drop Thassa.
I wouldn't want to. I'd rather have a Thassa.
Yeah. I can't pass up those two. Those might be the 2 best cards in the deck. There's a Rev, a baby Rev, just for 1. Somebody needs a land. Somebody needs some action. Watery Grave to draw. There's a Mutavault. Is it time to maybe try to deploy that Jace?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you're going to get a better time, really. You'll still be able to get a Mutavault, keep a Mutavault up.
Let's see what's going on here. There's 4 mana. All right, so he's going to try to deploy Jace. I think we might see a little bit of a war over this, maybe. Yeah, we know Reid has counter magic. He's got a Gainsay and a Negate in his hand. He's been very patient. There's Gainsay. This will be the Dispel. So Felicetti is going to win the counterspell war.
And this is, I think he's just going to cash it in right away. He's not going to be able to, upticking it really doesn't do much. Oh, no, he's going to uptick it.
So right now, Thassa, if it were to be, well, it is active, so 4. The Weird can attack for 3, that's 7. I wonder if there's anything that can go wrong here if Reid just tries to shove in for the win, assuming it's enough mana to make things unblockable and try to kill him.
Well, he has that Nykthos, too.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He has 9 mana available.
Hasn't played land yet?
Yeah.
So it could be 10. And the only thing that he really needs to fear, because of 2 mana, is either 1 Mutavault blocking or 2 a removal spell. He might be able to get the job done this turn. He's a smart guy. He'll figure it out.
Yeah, because he basically just needs to be able to, he needs to pump his Weird 3 times, basically. So 3 mana for that, and then 4 mana to make them both unblockable if Mutavault gets activated.
Yeah. Smart play, of course, here by Reid, just attacking first, forcing Ted to activate Mutavault to attempt to block, which looks like it's not going to happen. So now he goes reaching for that Singleton Nykthos that's in his deck. There's a bunch of pumps. Yeah, that's going to do it. So Reid Duke is going to win game number 2 here over Ted, Felicetti. Mono blue and Esper control will be heading to a third one. See both players probably go back to the sideboard here in just a moment. And that's definitely what Ted is doing. We'll see if Reid goes back, and he will too. Not sure a lot changes here, however.
No, I mean, Ted got a little lucky there. Obviously, Reid stalled on land too, but if Ted's able to get that Night Veil Spectre into play on turn 3, it's huge for him. I mean, he probably is able to win that match, but...
We're looking at a wildly different game.
Yeah.
Well, as these players do finish sideboarding up, we'll have game number 3 for you in just a moment. Right now, we're going to talk about Star City Games game nights. It is now worldwide. You can sign up now at starcitygames.com/game night, starting every Wednesday in September. Want to bring organized play down to the lower local level at participating stores. 2 pins and 8 foil tokens per week. New pins and foils each month. Every single Wednesday coming in September. Believe it or not, September is going to be here way sooner than you think. We're already over the hill in July, so...
August is yeah, it's coming.
It's seriously going to be here in like a hot minute, and then you get to watch your Giants play.
Oh, whew.
You know, Eli going to throw a bunch of picks again. Should be great for you.
In all likelihood.
Yeah, Josh Gordon, I don't even get to watch play, so that's cool.
Oh, come on, will you please?
That's cool. So
Yeah.
the Browns are just going to stink.
People from Cleveland should really be complaining
It's
right
just
now.
been a tough couple of weeks.
It's been a tough summer for you guys.
You know, the Browns are just going to be bad again.
Yeah.
Don't know what's going to happen in basketball besides us probably winning it all. But, you know, we'll see what happens. Either way, Star City Games game night coming in September every Wednesday. If you haven't signed up, you need more information, starcitygames.com/game night. Find out more information about it. We're looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. Should be really, really cool.
Yeah, it's a fun, I think it's really cool. Really good idea.
What was the local store for you when you were coming up? Target?
Amazing Heroes was actually the first store I played at.
Amazing
It was in my hometown of Union, yeah.
Okay.
And we used to play. It was actually really great because, you know, it was before Friday Night Magic.
Okay.
So he'd basically invite everyone to come down and play on Friday night, and we used to do like the most random formats too. Like It wasn't like we were not playing in tournaments. We were basically just casual, total casual. I think there was one format where it was we played Fallen Empire's block, and everybody had one color that they could play. So I played green, and I got Sapperlings.
Okay.
So like it was a really, mind you, that is one of the worst formats ever. Like I can't even express to you how bad that format is. But it was fun. You know, we were having fun. So
Fallen Empire's block. That's a love for Magic unlike we've ever seen.
Oh yeah, I used to really love casual Magic.
No?
And the Pro Tour just beat that out of me.
Sapperlings. What was there? Like, what was your best card?
I honestly can't even remember.
No?
Probably Serrated Arrows, and it wasn't even...
Yeah, not even green. Not even a green card. Where'd you head after that? I know. I mean, I know you guys play Target, but
after that, well, I don't know. New Jersey in particular. I mean, the Northeast was great, but New Jersey in particular, we had stores all throughout New Jersey where, you know, when I was coming up, I would literally play in a Magic tournament every day of the week.
Yeah,
I kid you not. Monday through Sunday, I would be playing in a Magic tournament. And Target was basically the first place where I found other players who also wanted to get to the Pro Tour.
Okay.
So that suddenly became my store.
Gotcha.
Like we all kind of met there.
Just every day, just after high school.
Every day.
Let's go battle.
Every day.
That's the dream come true right there. We are underway in game number 3. A Temple of Deceit going to start things off here for Felicetti. Looks like both players should keep their 7 cards. So.
Yeah, much better hand this time for Ted. He's able to get to 3 mana now without worrying. Looks like he's a Night Veil Spectre as well, but not sure if he's got triple blue or black yet. But yep, he just drew a Temple Enlightenment.
Do apologize for the technical difficulties that are taking place. We're working on getting those 6 for you guys right now. So
Reid Duke's hair is just too powerful.
That's definitely what it is.
It's like the magnetism of his hair is just throwing off all our camera work. Night Veil Spectre comes down. So the card that would have been critical for Ted last game, comes out in turn 3 for him this time. Let's see if he's able to make an impact. Obviously, Night Veil Spectre, very, very good in the mono blue mirror, so you'd imagine any deck that has it is going to be good against.
Yes, that is certainly true. Here comes Frostburn Weird. I can't imagine that Ted's going to have any interest in blocking.
So
looks like we're going to be bringing it back to us in just a moment here because we are having some camera difficulties right now, and we definitely want to bring you the conclusion.